Hey friends, so today's discussion is going to be about what does chemistry mean. As an introduction to chemistry, it is the branch of science that studies matter and change in matter. First, chemistry deals with the study of the composition and the properties of matter. What is matter? Matter is basically any macroscopic substance that we can observe. It has mass, it has space. Then chemistry deals with change on how the substances evolve when submitted to certain conditions, or how one substance changes or reacts while interacting with a different substance. The definition of chemistry can be made shorter since it covers basically everything. When was chemistry discovered? Very simple chemical processes were performed even during ancient history. When was chemistry discovered? Very simple chemical processes were performed even during ancient history, 1000 BC, much before any basic chemistry concepts or laws were actually established. Extraction of metals from ore or getting compounds out of natural sources, such as plants, are examples of chemistry that was first performed thousands of years ago and are still a thing today. Now, alchemy, you must have heard of that term. What is alchemy? Alchemy is what we call as the proto-science of chemistry. Alchemy tried to explain the nature, properties, and transformations of matter. But it was not science, but rather a set of myths and magic. It is agreed upon that the transition from alchemy to modern chemistry as we know it started in 17th century with the publication of The Skeptical Chemist by Robert Boyle. He is considered to be the father of modern chemistry. The difference between chemistry and alchemy is the application of scientific method. Next, we consider why is chemistry important. Everything is chemistry. Everything that you can observe macroscopically is made of chemicals. You are made of chemicals. Your food is chemicals. You breathe chemicals. Air. We live out of and thanks to chemicals. Everything you see under the sun is a mixture of chemicals. Everything you see or do is based on chemical concepts and processes. Fireworks going off takes place thanks to our understanding application of chemistry. A medicine that you take to cure your illness does it so through the chemical process. A building does not fall off because we know chemistry. Obviously, all these examples result from a bunch of different branches of science coming together. Chemistry, as a central science, is in charge of gluing them together. So why is chemistry called a central science? All sciences are glued together by basic chemistry concepts, and that is why it's called the central science. Without chemistry, physical sciences, which include chemistry itself, would find a large gap and will not be bound to life sciences such as biology and applied sciences such as engineering. This is important to note in any introduction to chemistry text. What is the future of chemistry? Chemistry is a science that studies and manipulates matter. We human beings are getting pretty good at it. Although it's not easy to beat nature, but we are far from an ideal position in which we can easily make any molecule or compound at will in a matter of minutes. That is probably the future of chemical synthesis, being able to shape any compound at will in a matter of minutes, without relying on long-term challenging synthesis projects. Furthermore, the possibilities of synthetic chemistry are literally endless. There will always be room for making a chemical even better, or finding a molecule that works even better for a given task. Another key aspect of the chemistry of the future will be reaching true full sustainability. Chemistry will be one of the main branches of science to solve the problem of energy. Also, chemistry, as a central science, will be responsible to helping technology and interdisciplinary science in general to develop smoothly. Let's look at a couple of fundamental concepts in chemistry. What is an atom? An atom is defined as the basic unit of a chemical element, a fundamental piece of matter. Plain, simple, and basic chemistry concept. Obviously, we now know that atoms are made of smaller particles called subatomic particles, which are like protons, which are positively charged, and electrons which are negatively charged, and neutrons which are neutral particles. In simple terms, protons and neutrons make up the inner part or core of the atom, that's called nucleus, and they account for most of the mass of the atoms. Electrons make up a cloud, which are like orbitals or areas in which the probability of finding electrons is high. So these electrons are going around the nucleus continuously. Protons and neutrons are not fundamental particles. They are made of further subatomic particles. They are called quarks. On the other hand, as far as we know currently, electrons are fundamental particles, and so far we do not know if they are made of anything smaller. Another key concept or term that you hear in chemistry is molecule. A molecule is a group of atoms bound together. It is the next level of chemical complexity. Molecules represent the basic unit of a chemical compound, and this is another of those essential basic chemistry concepts. An example is water molecule, which is made of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. They are held together by covalent bonds, and hence the formula for water is H2O. Further definitions include that they are simplest fundamental unit that can take part in a chemical reaction and that they are electrically neutral. This latter point distinguishes molecules from ions, another type of chemical compound. Next one is, what type of chemical compounds are there? There are 3 basic types of chemical compounds, and should be briefly introduced in this lecture about basic chemistry concepts. All of them are the result of bonding atoms together. The difference is in the nature of the forces that hold together those atoms. In molecules such as water or H2O, which are neutral compounds of individual nature, atoms are glued together by covalent bonds, as we mentioned earlier. These bonds generally occur between 2 non-metal atoms which share pair of electrons or bonding pairs. In ionic compounds such as sodium chloride or NaCl, commonly known as common salt, atoms are in ionic form, which are charged and are held together by ionic forces, giving rise to large networks of oppositely charged ions. Ionic bonds occur between metals and non-metals. When extended network of atoms are formed between one or more types of metal atoms, we are talking about metallic bonds. What is the periodic table? The periodic table is a list or arrangement of all known chemical elements. These are organized in a way that it allows grouping elements with similar atomic structure and therefore similar properties. The main criteria for this order is the arrangement by increasing atomic number, which is the number of particles of that element's nucleus, protons and neutrons together. Its invention is attributed to the Russian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev, and in 2019 we celebrated the 150th anniversary of his original report in 1869. This was really a groundbreaking work in chemistry. Let's try to understand, why do 2 chemical compounds react? Chemistry studies changes in matter. A chemical reaction is a process in which one set of chemical compounds are transformed into another. Reaction occurs when there is an interaction between the compounds in which some initial bonds are broken and some new bonds are formed. Why does this happen? In simple terms, because the energy holding the new bonds together is higher than the energy that held the initial bond. This is the definition of a thermodynamically favored process. Favorable thermodynamics is the most fundamental step that leads 2 compounds to react with each other. Other drastically important factor is reaction kinetics. So I hope that this discussion has been interesting enough for you to become more curious about chemistry and understand and delve into these concepts deeper. We'll keep bringing more such videos in future to continue exciting you more on these concepts. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next discussion. Take care.